Welcome everyone to another episode of compARTE Happy Hour here at the Facebook page of Diamante Arts and Cultural Center. I want to thank our supporters for helping us make this show possible, to the United Arts Council of Raleigh and Wake County, and also to some of our funders and contributors for their support. Today, I have a very special guest. She is a young Latina artist that is making waves in the fine arts. But what makes her so special is her type of art. She is inspired by nature. Welcome, Carolina Corona. How are you?
Hi, thank you, Lizette. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me today. Thank you to Diamante for the opportunity to talk.
Yes, absolutely. Well, for those that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about you? When were you born? Where were you raised? What drove you to nature art?
I was born in Cruz, Mexico, and I moved to the US when I was 10. And really, what drives my art is nature. I'm very inspired by my environment and what is around me. And it really started, as a young kid living in Mexico. We used to have a big yard and a humble home, but I used to spend a lot of time outside climbing trees, playing with different types of plants, studying them. There used to be this short show on TV where this lady dressed up would do little crafts. So I always had, like a box full of art supplies under my bed with glue, construction paper, and I would always run to get it and bring it out when that little short show came on. That's when I really started to explore because unfortunately I didn't have art lessons in school.
Mhm.
So, everything that I did was at home on my own in terms of art. But just exploring outside really uh, put a love for the environment and nature in me. So until today, I love hiking and going outdoors and being involved in environmentalism. So that all combined, it inspires my work.
Wow. So how do you go from Mexico to North Carolina? How did that all go about? When did you come? Like, how old were you?
I was 10, and my dad was working here, so in Wilmington. So he was, doing construction, and he used to go back to Mexico every year to see us and then come back to work more. But he decided he wanted to stay a little bit longer than a year. So he brought me and my mom to stay with him for a while. But then we kind of decided to stay a little longer and a little longer. And, it just became 17 years after, and here I am. So
Awesome. Well, I know that you went to college to be an educator. Was it an arts educator, or did art just after you ended up being a teacher decided, you know what, I need to get back to my own art? How is that? How did that transition? Where did you go to college and stuff?
I moved to Winston-Salem to go to Salem College. And I did study fine art, and my concentration was painting and printmaking. And I also got a degree in teaching. So I got teaching in art and Spanish. So, I always have to have a backup plan because people in college used to tell me, our teaching jobs are scarce. So you might be more able to get a Spanish teaching job, which, I was okay with, but I really wanted to teach art. So when I got out of college, I was really lucky because the school that I was training in actually hired me to be an art teacher there. So
Awesome.
so I was there for about 3 years, but I was really lacking the time to paint and do artwork and other stuff that I really wanted to do because I not only was teaching, but also I would stay after school to do tutoring. I was part of a YMCA program, Juntos, which tutors Latin students. So I used to stay in school until maybe like 7 p.m. or so. And then when I got home, I was exhausted. So it just didn't leave enough time for me to dedicate to my artwork. So, you know, I was really worn out, and I really wanted to take a time for myself and try to be a full-time artist because that's from when I was a kid, that has always been my dream to be an artist.
Right. Your
And
passion.
exactly. And as a teacher, I was an artist, you know, because teaching is an art in itself. You're teaching students, and I loved my students. They were so diverse. The school that I was in was like 1/3 Black, 1/3 white, 1/3 Hispanic. So I was so lucky to have a great, diverse classroom, which excited me. And I was teaching also honors classes, which also, you know, put my excitement out for teaching. But like I said, I really want to be an artist, and that's my main goal. So I quit my teaching job and I started to build my portfolio painting, and that was about 3 years ago. And so, you know, really started from scratch because I don't have a business background. You know, I studied art and education that has nothing to do with business.
Yeah, now that you say that, a lot of artists don't think that they need some business knowledge when they go into business to sell their art.
Exactly. So it was such a learning stretch for me, but I love learning. So, you know, when I was teaching, I learned a lot just being in the classroom from students, from my coworkers. But now that I had a new career, you know, that I was starting from scratch, I had to learn business, marketing, and all on my own, you know, because I wasn't planning on going back to school. So I've had to do a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of talking to other artists. And unfortunately, there is not a lot of artists that do this for a living, you know, that are readily available to teach you all their secrets because everybody's busy. I've been having to pull from different sources and learn all of this by myself. But it excites me to learn about it and continue to grow and get better every day. And in combination with me having time to do a lot of painting, it's perfect, you know. And of course, it's very difficult to be an artist always, but nowadays even harder, you know, because a lot of businesses are struggling because of the situation. And you know, especially art, like people might think they don't need art, but I believe they do, but they don't think they need it. So it's kind of one of the first things that kind of falls through, you know, in terms of businesses. But I see it as an opportunity to be creative with my business management and business model. So that's what I've been doing lately after, you know, 3 years of doing my business and having to start from scratch, and to now being a little bit more knowledgeable about things. So
Well, I mean, it's been hard, but I think I've seen some good rewards. If I'm not mistaken, you have a bus stop with your art on it that I think is pretty cool. Can you tell us how that came about and where is it at?
yes, definitely. The city of Winston-Salem, where I live, did a project where they hired a lot of different artists to beautify different bus stops around town. So when I saw the call for art, it kind of called, you know, it pulled me towards it because I have a friend who takes the bus, and you know, she suffers from depression, and she would always tell me about how bad her experience was, riding the bus and using public transportation. And this was part of the reason why they are trying to beautify the bus stops, to have a better experience for people who ride the bus. So I had this idea of having an environmental statement decorate the bus, because I wanted to put something beautiful out that would help people kind of immerse themselves in nature in a urban setting, because all you can see from the bus stop is the roads, and there's some trees, but it's really just houses and businesses. So
concrete jungle, right? The concrete jungle.
yes, so I really wanted to have something beautiful, but also something meaningful to me that made an impact. So I created an environmental statement which, says protect, preserve, and explore North Carolina. And it includes a lot of native species to the state, including the yellow swallowtail, the dogwoods, the cardinal. So it's state symbols. So I wanted people to see the beauty in those natural resources, but also to understand that we need to protect those resources,
right,
in order for future generations to enjoy them. So I thought this is in a great public spot where a lot of cars, a lot of people are going to drive by and maybe glance at it or see it, see the words protect and see the beautiful natural resources depicted. So this is it's actually near my house, because initially I was going to actually go and paint on it myself, because of the pandemic. I think they decided to go more with like a printout, and then they just wrapped it around the bus shelter, which worked out fine as well. But I chose a location that was near my house on Renolda Road, near the Renolda State, about 5 to 10 minutes. So it's on a well-trafficked street, and a lot of businesses are around. So I like that location for it.
Yeah. So, folks, when you're in Winston-Salem and you're driving by Ronaldo Road, make sure you look at the bus stops so you can see Carolina's bus stop, which, by the way, is beautiful, as you can see from the photo. Also, you just did a mural. What was that mural all about?
Well, the mural was in a downtown Winston-Salem, and they have a mural wall, which they change out every year. And this year I wanted to do a mural because I haven't actually done a mural outside. I've done indoor murals before.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I wanted to try it out and get some spray painting also, because it's a new medium to me. I've always been canvas and acrylic and watercolor. So having to do spray paint was something new to me as well. But I was excited about the opportunity, and I wanted to have something that I loved, and also incorporate my culture into the mural. So I designed a hummingbird with flowers around it. And a hummingbird for me is something that I love. I love that symbol, el colibrí. I always see them outside my window, and I used to see them in Mexico, in my yard and feeding on the flowers. And over here in the past 3 years, I've been observing them a lot, and just their behaviors and how playful they are with each other, and even violent at times, which surprises me because they're so tiny and cute. But, it's something that inspires me. It's natural, it's playful, colorful, and my culture is colorful. So I thought the perfect way to do it, to show, a mural in a public space and show what I stand for, is to have nature and my culture woven together. So I have a lot of different colors, flowers, very representative of my Mexican heritage. you know, I just love those colors and the culture behind it too. So, and it also made me think of a lot of Huichol designs because, you know, I love that culture and the art that they do. And it's very colorful as well. And they use a hummingbird as a symbol as well. So that's also inspirational for me.
Gotcha. Now, the art that I see behind you, it looks like it's more ocean breezy kind of, blues, mellow, mellow colors, mellow in the sense that they're calming. Um, Tell me, is that more indicative of the art that you usually produce?
My paintings, my fine art paintings are representative of different places that I have been. And also, I like to do different series in which I use, you know, different palettes, different zones, natural zones. So, you know, for this one right here, it was one of the trips that I took up north to Rhode Island. So, you know, whatever image that I see on my trips, and most of my paintings are inspired by trips that I've taken and actually places where I have been. Because part of my process is taking a lot of photographs and, you know, exploring those when I'm in the place, but after as well when I'm back in my studio. So, you know, all of these are blue. And I also have, if I tilt my camera up, my goddess series. I did a series of nature goddesses. I have a sea goddess. I have the goddess of earth. And I also have a moon goddess, which is an exhibit with Herencia. But all of these are, you know, they come together in a way with through color, through theme, and you know, part of the reason why I love nature so much is because of the feelings that I get when I'm in nature exploring, which is peace. So for me, you know, blues, purples, soft greens are very soothing to me. So when a landscape inspires those feelings and I really feel them in my soul, I feel like the best way to express them is through those colors on the canvas.
So, do you have any new projects coming up that you might want to share with our audience?
Yes, I always have some projects going on. And one of the projects that I'm working on now is illustrations that are bringing awareness to different environmental issues, but also just to different species here in North Carolina. And I might extend it to, you know, other parts of the country as well. But I started working with watercolor pencils and color pencils as well. So here's one of them.
Oh, wow. What are the symbols in here?
Well, this is one of my most recent pieces. And this one I actually did after watching a documentary on coral. So just about the coral reefs and how they're affected by global warming and really how they're disappearing, you know, and the coral are dying because of the warm temperatures of the water. And not only the coral, but all the different species that depend on the coral reefs to live are being affected. So, you know, that really inspired me to create an illustration about it to highlight just how beautiful the coral reefs are. You know, all the immense diversity that we see, and I've only seen through video and photographs, you know, but I hope to one day be able to explore the underwater coral reefs because there's so much color, diversity in shape, in texture. It's just something so beautiful, you know, and even the sharks, the things that we think are dangerous seem so at peace in this environment. So that really inspired me to create this piece of an underwater goddess creature, you know, that lives there and all these different animals and corals around her, plants. So that's one of the illustrations that I did.
Mhm. So you have a whole series of illustrations.
So far, I have 3 of them.
Oh, cool.
And here's another one.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
And this one is inspired by species in North Carolina. So all of these different things are things I've photographed actually very recently. You know, all the mushrooms after the rains, the turtle, the flowers, everything I've photographed and included in this illustration of just different beautiful species in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And things that are worth preserving, you know. And one thing that I love about this medium of the color pencils that I'm using is that they're really bright. And, you know, maybe you can't really appreciate it on the video, but they're really bright. And for me, when I'm live exploring and seeing those things in front of me, that's what they look like. You know, they're just so bright, they stand out to me. So I really want to represent them how they are, so beautiful.
Yeah.
And here's the third one.
Wow. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, so a lot of different things. This one is mainly flowers and butterflies. So a lot of different kinds of butterflies that I've photographed.
It's beautiful.
Here in Winston-Salem.
Thanks for sharing those. I do know that because you've sent me information about this before, I know that you're trying to coordinate an art exhibit with just female Latina artists. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So you know, one of the things that I've been having trouble with is hearing about presence of Latina artists, you know, not only throughout history, you know, besides Frida, people don't really know a lot of Mexican women that were artists in history. And here in the States, I'm having trouble connecting with female artists. So one of the ideas that I had was, you know, to create an exhibit that would bring light to art by Latina artists in the state, but also nationwide. So, you know, it's very beginning stages right now. I have 3 artists that reached out to me, and I've included them on my website, Corona Fine Art, and I've created a small exhibit with those 3 artists and myself. So I curated it and I included some pieces by them that they sent me, and they are for sale. So if you want to check them out, you know, it's coronafineart.com, and they're just on my homepage. There's a post with the exhibit on it. Very easy to get to. But my hope is to keep growing. You know, it started out as an exhibit, but I want to keep reaching out and keep finding new artists that I can highlight on my website as well in future exhibits, but maybe just a permanent exhibit. So that's my main goal, to keep working on this. Right now, this exhibit, I'm going to have it up for a few months until January, because I think, you know, maybe during the holidays, people want to shop and they want to get some art by Latina artists.
I want to thank you for being with us today. You know, just so you guys know, Carolina teaches classes, and you can go to her website, coronafinearts.com, and find out more about that. But also, she's a Dali fellow, and I thank you for serving as a fellow for the Diamante Arts and Cultural Center.
Thank you so much, Lizette, for interviewing me today, and to Diamante for inviting me to be part of Hispanic Heritage Month.